Welcome back to Reset and Rise, where we help emerging and inspiring leaders grow with clarity, confidence, and intention. I'm Shirrell Meeks. One of the most common leadership challenges isn't deciding what to do, it's deciding what deserves your attention first. Because once you step into leadership, it can feel like everything is important. So today, we're talking about how leaders prioritize when everything feels urgent. So let's dig into why prioritization becomes harder in leadership. Early in your careers, priorities are often assigned to us. Managers tell us what needs to be done, when is it due, and what success looks like. But as leadership responsibility grows, something shifts. You become responsible for determined priorities, not just executing them. And that means balancing people's needs, business demands, deadlines, long-term strategy. This is where leadership judgment becomes critical. It's the urgency trap we need to be mindful of. One of the biggest mistakes leaders make is prioritizing based on urgency alone. The loudest issue often gets the most attention, right? But loud doesn't always mean important. Strong leaders pause long enough to ask what truly moves the organization forward, what issues will create the biggest impact, what requires attention now versus thoughtful planning. Urgency should inform priorities, but it shouldn't control them. Here are 3 ways strong leaders prioritize. First, focus on impact. Not all work carries the same weight. So you have to ask, what decisions affects the most people? Which outcomes influence business results? Which issues create long-term consequences? Impact helps leaders see beyond the noise. 2, separate immediate from important. Some things must be handled quickly. Others require thoughtful strategy. Strong leaders regularly ask, is this a reaction or a priority? What happens if this waits a day? What happens if it doesn't? These questions can dramatically improve prioritization. 3, align priorities with direction. The strongest leaders anchor their priorities to something bigger. They ask the following: does this support the team's goals? Does this move the organization forward? Does this strengthen our long-term progress? When priorities align with direction, decisions become clearer. So consider the following when prioritizing. What is currently demanding my attention that may not deserve it? What priority am I avoiding because it feels harder? What off one decision today would create the greatest impact? Leadership prioritization requires both discipline and perspective. When everything feels urgent, the best leaders slow down long enough to think clearly. Because leadership isn't about doing everything, it's about focusing on what matters most. And when you prioritize with intention, you create space for better decisions, stronger teams, and sustainable leadership. And remember, you always have the power to reset and rise.